Everyone, welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. In this episode, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, the money blueprint. Now, this is oversimplifying business, but honestly, if you can't simplify it, you're probably overcomplicating it, so fair's fair. Here, I'm going to talk about the four things that make up the money blueprint, and this is really just a simple plan to consistently bring in new leads and predictably convert them into high-paying clients. We use this in our work with our clients, and basically what we want to do is have one path that we know works for sure, and then we can test alternate paths. So there are four things in a money blueprint. The first is the channels. Channels is how we get attention. Now, you'll note that there's about 5 spots in each one. And the reason we have multiple is that the worst thing in business is the number one. If we have one channel and it's working well, that's great. However, if that channel fails or falls down, then we are stuck. So I like to have 2, maybe 3 channels. Same with the rest, but basically what we want is to have, at the very least, you'll see up in the top, we have color coding. Red means something's not working, amber, something needs improvement, and green is working great. So the goal is to get green, as many paths through from channels all the way down to follow-up funnel. So at the very start, our goal is one of each. We want to make sure we have one channel, one lead magnet, one conversion tool, one follow-up funnel. Over time, we might develop extras, additional ones. Let's call them plan A, plan B, plan C. One thing I will say is we don't want to have too many because then we're distracted as well. But let's talk about what the 4 elements are, and then I'll walk you through this worksheet. So channels, first of all, this is where we get our attention. So there are basically 3 types of channels. This is where the attention comes from. So it can either be paid, borrowed, or owned. So paid, it is paid ads. It's really simple. As long as you're paying for it, you've got access to it. Borrowed, this is strategic partnerships, joint ventures. You're working with someone else to access their audience. And then owned, this is my favorite. It is the organic, and basically you own it. So no matter what happens, no matter what shifts in the world, you have it. So my favorite owned is an email list. As long as you've got access to email, as long as you've got that list, you've got some value. Now, starting out, you might need to work on either paid or borrowed. That's okay. But the end goal is you want to own your channels. So we brainstorm with our clients. We find different possible channels. For me personally, my favorite channel, I love having a podcast. It allows me to meet new people. It allows me to have conversations with people who might become clients. And it allows me to share value with my community, my audience. So it is, in fact, there are, with my podcast as an example, which you're seeing this, you understand, I do have owned where people can sign up on my website. They can get more behind the scenes information, so on. I also have, I don't know if you want to call it borrowed or paid. I use platforms like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. I don't pay for those, but I don't own them either. So let's call that borrowed. So that's channels. Next, we have lead magnets. This is an industry term. A lot of people don't like this in real life. I don't mind it. I don't love it. But basically, the idea is we take attention and we identify who in our world needs us. And basically, a lead magnet is where we're trading their information, whether it's an email address, their name, whatever, in exchange for something of true value. Now, to be technically correct, a lead magnet is considered something that takes between 5 and 10 minutes to consume. It should solve one pain with one solution. So the idea is if somebody has the pain that we solve, here's a solution. And really it's a first transaction where they're trading their attention for our content. Now, I can't stress this enough. I build everything from an empathy point of view. I love understanding my customer. A lead magnet has to add value. If it's a piece of AI garbage, you're not going to get anything out of it. It's a waste of time. So put some thought into what's one thing you can give them, whether it's a template, a checklist, a standard operating procedure, something to help them solve a problem quickly. Next, we have conversion tools. So channels and lead magnets, that's basically where we have marketing. Conversion tools is where we actually take that attention that we've gotten from qualified prospects and we turn them into clients. Honestly, conversion tools is probably the biggest weakness I see over and over and over. I've even seen it in companies that teach sales. They're really good at helping their clients close deals. They're not so good at closing their own deals. So a conversion tool is something that takes that interest and turns it into a client. This might be a webinar, it might be a course. Find ways to get micro commitments and to bring people into your world gradually, always focusing on adding value. Conversion will take care of itself. And then the follow-up funnel, I don't love the word funnel because it implies I'm hurting people and they kind of drop through the funnel. I consider follow-up to be part of onboarding and operations. So basically, if somebody, you have their attention, but they don't convert, quite frankly, even if they do convert, how do you follow up with them? How do you stay in touch with them so that maybe they need something else, they come to you? But basically, the idea is if you've gotten their attention once, you want to nurture that relationship. So I will point out this is very marketing-based language, but for me, this is about how do you start a relationship and how do you nurture it? Now, the sheet that you have in front of you is really, really simple. I encourage all of my clients, we list down what they currently do in all of these areas. So the current column is what they currently have. And then you'll see the little ovals. They're going to just color code it based on what's working well, what needs improvement, and what's working great, or what's not working. We color code it so we know where we're at. And as I said at the beginning, the goal is to have at least one green in each of the four. Now, over time, we're going to do some A/B testing. We're going to create some alternatives, but do not think about alternatives until you have one solid green through channels, lead magnets, conversion tools, and follow-up funnel. Because if you don't have that solid green path from top to bottom, you're losing opportunities. Literally, you're trying to pour water into a leaky bucket. So we patch the bucket first. Once the bucket is patched, then we know what the benchmark is for what we consider working great, and then we can keep optimizing. So that's the money blueprint. It's not that complicated, but honestly, if you don't have this in place, please don't do anything else until it's done. What I mean by that is the bucket is leaking. So if you don't have this full path in green, your marketing effort is going to be harder than it has to be, and it's going to be way less effective, which means more expensive. Your sales, again, going to be harder than it has to be, more expensive, less effective. And if we have trouble in operations, no amount of marketing or sales can help us because we're always bleeding clients. So that's the money blueprint. I'd love your thoughts, feedback, and thank you for hanging out with me.